Let me show you one of the ways by which we can get our financial information. So I'm going to go to the Brandell Library, which is North Park's library system. And in its online resources, under the M category, we have premium subscription to Morningstar, where in this video, I'm going to have it help me look up Mondelez International, which is basically the previous Kraft. You would recognize them with brands like Chips Ahoy and Oreos. So once I find them as a company, I'm going to scroll down into the section that says financial statements. And it's from these financial statements that with income statement highlighted, I'm going to choose that button to export the income statements, select my balance sheet. I'm going to import or export all those balance sheets, and then the cash flows, I'll do the same. Now I have already opened for us the basic file structure sheet from before. So let's work on getting the data over into it. So let's start with the income statement, which is kind of a tricky one for Morningstar. First thing you're going to notice is that it's an older version of Excel. So I'm going to clean it up a lot by first I'm going to delete this. Then I'm going to pick from years 2016 to 2022 and delete those columns for us. So home, delete those columns. And then the same thing with this TTM in 2025. I want to be able to delete that too. Let's change all of our fonting by clicking on that little nub in the corner and making it to Aptos Narrow 10. I don't want this gross profit line, so I'm going to home, delete that row there too. Then I'm going to want to make these numbers into my accounting format, so I select them all. I'm going to pick accounting, and then under number, I'm going to choose to decrease the decimal too. But there are some numbers in here that aren't supposed to be decreased decimals, like the effective tax rate. So I'm going to go back and change that to be a percentage form. And then these ones that are earnings per share should have pennies on them. So I'm going to want to increase the decimal on those ones over here. So in addition to that cleanup, I'm also going to change my column widths. I want my B, C, and D columns, home, cells, format, column width to be 15s. And then I want this first one to be 65. Okay, additionally, there's a funky thing in Morningstar where when you see negatives on the income statement, it means they are showing expenses as a negative number, which I don't like. So I'm going to multiply those by a -1 so that I can get those back into more of a traditional form where I like to subtract negatives rather than add positives. So everywhere in here, basically, that I see negative numbers, and notice when we get to this line, that's actually not an expense line, that's a subtotal line. So there's a good reason those aren't negatives. So I'm just copying and pasting these down, trying to eliminate those negatives. And in this case, we're going to go ahead and leave that one as a positive because it was originally stated as a positive. And then make sure we've got nothing else in there. Okay, once I have that now, very carefully, I'm going to select these and copy them. Then I'm going to come over to the negative. I'm going to choose paste and paste special as values so that I get rid of that formula, but I get the numbers in there the way that I want. And I'll do the same here, and I'll paste them special as values using my shortcuts. I have a couple others to clean up, so I'm going to copy paste this formula, and we're going to put it there and here as well. We need it here as well. And I'm basically looking for everywhere that I'm seeing negative numbers where this one actually can stay as it was. And let's paste those down there. And I think we just have one more section down here to attend to. And now I have the numbers presented how I want. So again, with this notion in mind of making sure that I copy, and then I'm going to paste special as values. And I'm using a shortcut now. I'm using Control C and then Control Shift V to get those in there. But as I showed you before, you can always copy and then it's paste values. Oops, that was Format Painter, paste values like this. Let me do that again. Come over here and then paste values. Almost done with this on the income statement, and I know it's a hassle for us. So let's get rid of that one because I didn't need that one. Copy that one, paste that one over there, and paste that one over there. And if you're working with an income statement that shows it more traditionally, you won't have to do this. Lastly, then, let me delete all that. And I want to call this then up here, why don't we call it Mondelez International. And then I'm going to put some gray fill color in here, and we'll use the simple gray. And now let's print preview it from here. And it doesn't have our header footer stuff on there because we're working with that original source. So let's go copy what we've got and then let's put it into the sheet that I used for my file structure. I'm going to paste it in there, reshape my column sizes to my 50s and 16s. And now when I print preview, see how I have my header there and my footer there, and I got the carry through that I have that row to repeat at top, and everything looks good from that point of view. So I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to right mouse click and move or copy and create a copy of that income statement twice over so that I can maintain that same printability structure. And then I'll move on to the balance sheets and incomes, or the statements of cash flows and the balance sheets. So we'll put statements of cash flows there, and I'm going to get rid of all the information. And then this one, we're going to make the balance sheet, and then get rid of all that information. And then this next part should be a lot easier for us because I can close off those ugly income statements that had that weird negative and go back and let's open up the balance sheets and statement of cash flows. And the formatting will be much easier. So again, let's delete that from here. Let's get rid of 2016 to 22. We want those columns to be 15, or I want that one to be 60, 65. And then I want all these to be my accounting format where I want no decimals. And once I've got that in there, let's go ahead and copy all that and then bring that over into our balance sheet and paste it in there. And one thing you'll notice, the balance sheet does give us a lot more than we need. So I'm actually going to make myself to the last row of the traditional balance sheet here at 81. And I'm just going to delete all those rows down beneath it because I don't need them. And then notice I get these little hashtags down here because I'm wondering if I did all of my formatting properly because it looks like I got myself an extra row in here. So let's make sure that this is accounting format, and let's make sure that we have no decimals. And if it doesn't fit in like that, we're just going to make that a scooch wider. Then we'll make this one 16, and that looks like it's wide enough. And I'm going to delete off this from here. And then those are all 16. I wonder because look at, they came in as Aptos Narrow 10. I mean 11. If I do them back to 10, I bet you I can fit it in all under 15s. So let's see. Yep, no more hashtags. So at the end, I like to print preview this thing and look at the balance sheet says it's going to have, or the spreadsheet has income statements on page 1 and page 2. Then I've got balance sheets on 3, 4, 5, and then page 6 is going to be my statement of cash flows. So let's move to the statement of cash flows. Let's go find it and repeat what we've been doing before. This is a delete, the whole thing. We want it to be Aptos Narrow. And I think on this one, because the numbers are big, we're keeping it at Aptos Narrow 10. We're going to get rid of the 16 through the 22, get rid of the trailing 12 months, highlight our numbers, and make sure that our columns are 15, grab them all and make sure that we have them with dollars in the accounting form and no decimals. And then we're going to do just this part down here to copy it, because when we come over to the statements of cash flows and paste it in, now we've got our top structure, and save it. And let's print preview the whole thing and see whether it looks beautiful. So you got 8 pages. Pages 1 and 2 are income statements. Pages 3, 4, and 5 are all balance sheets. And then 6, 7, and 8 are my statements of cash flows. So that's how you get your Morningstar data into a well-organized and structured spreadsheet that then you can use to perform calculations on when you build something like a ratio calculator.